Well, we're up against Brighton, one of our biggest rivals in the Premier League, and to be fair, I wasn't expecting a huge amount from the game. I thought that it was going to be one of those that we were going to sit back for periods of time and then we were going to, you know, try and get them on the counter and stuff like that. And I thought that it was going to be just one of those games where, because of our injury issues and because of our lack of squad depth, I thought that we were going to be struggling a little bit. However, I was pleasantly surprised, especially by the way the first half went down. So as always, I'm going to say it again, if you haven't seen the game yet, which I'm surprised you probably haven't because it's one of those games, but if you haven't, go and have a look at it and then come back and listen to what I have to say about the whole thing. It was one of those games, you know, we had, obviously we still had injuries. Jefferson Lerma returned, which was fantastic. It's great to have him back. It was great to have him in there. And obviously we had AU back as well after his suspension, so that was fantastic as well. And we had Klein in place of Joel Ward, and we also had we also had Richards in the middle as well with Hughes, and just trying to make a bit of a cohesive team, you know, together. And I felt personally that it was an okay team. I thought, you know, it's fair enough. Obviously we didn't have the youth players in, we didn't have Ozo, we didn't have França in from the start, which is a bit of a disappointment, but I felt that it was one of those teams where I think Roy wanted a little bit of balance between, you know, defensive and attacking, but because we don't have a huge amount of attacking. Eze was still on the bench. Obviously he's been, or Roy has been advised that perhaps he should give him a gentle readmission to the squad. So he hasn't played a whole game for a little while, so he was on the bench again. And for the first half, I thought we were actually quite good. You know, we were trying to get, you know, trying to break the team, trying to break Brighton down. We were trying to get in behind them, and I felt that we were actually we actually played really well. Brighton had their moments, as you probably imagine, and Dean Henderson had to make a couple of really good saves to deny them a goal. So, you know, it was a bit end-to-end stuff. Although I would have to say that we didn't ask too many questions of their Brighton goalkeeper, but we were trying to create something and trying to make something happen, which was good to see. And the goal in the first half was actually a classic piece of, you know, running down players and things like that. Richards ran down the goalkeeper, the Brighton goalkeeper, when he had the ball. He made a mistake. It went to one of our players, and then Elise curved in a lovely little ball, which AU got on the end of and got the header in the back of the net. Fantastic goal. And at that point, it was quite deserved. We played really well, and I felt that we were on top of the game at that point. We were kind of in control of the game, which is something that I wasn't necessarily expecting before the game started. And we were looking pretty good, and that was right at the end of the first half. So we went into half time 1-0 up, and I thought this is actually really good. You know, really playing well. I did think to myself, I can't imagine that Brighton will come out second half not playing as well as they did in the first half, and they didn't. They came out with a lot more energy. They seemed to be, you know, the manager made a couple of changes which seemed to help them, and they started to get more control of the ball, started to get more possession, and they started to worry me a little bit. They were having chances, trying to create stuff and getting quite tight to our goal area. And I just felt that it was inevitable that they were going to score, and they did. It was a bit of a fantastic goal. I mean, Roy Hodgson and Joachim Andersen both said the same thing. It was a wonderful goal. You know, they headed by Welbeck. But I think it came from the fact that they had more possession and they were gaining more momentum in the game. I've seen people on Twitter who have said that they think this was a result of Roy being a bit more negative in his way of thinking, you know, the 5-4-1 I should say, or something like that anyway. That wasn't the case, I don't think, because both Joachim Andersen and Roy Hodgson said that they both thought that the team started to sit back because they got tired, because they started to get fatigued. They didn't want to run forward as much, didn't want to push forward as much, although we did occasionally push forward. But they both said that because of the fatigue in the team that we were sort of sitting deeper and deeper back, which of course invites Brighton to then come out and attack us, which they did. And to be honest, even after the Welbeck goal, there was a couple of chances that could have easily made it 2-0, you know, could have easily made it 2-1 to Brighton. So I think we actually went in and finished the game 1-1, which I thought was actually, after seeing the second half, probably a good result for us. You know, I thought that in the first half, if the second half had gone the same way, I would have said we deserved the 3 points. But after the second half performance and the way that we kind of backed off, I think a 1-1 result was actually a pretty good result for us, even though it's like the 4th time we've drawn with Brighton over the last recent years. And there were a couple of things to talk about in terms of the players. I think Dean Henderson made a couple of really good saves, but also he made a couple of mistakes. He had a little bit of trouble with his handling. You know, the ball would escape him sometimes, or he'd go to catch it or go to stop it and it would bounce out of his hands and things like this. And I don't really know, maybe he isn't quite fit. I mean, they said in the last game that he wasn't quite fit. Maybe he still isn't quite fit. Maybe he isn't quite up to speed yet, or maybe it's a lack of confidence because he hasn't played so long. I don't know. But he just didn't look, at times, he didn't look very confident. And so that was a shame. I felt that we did bring players on. We brought Eze on and we brought on David Ozo. The problem was that we took off Jordan Ayew and Will Hughes. The problem with that, I think, is because Jordan Ayew and Will Hughes were actually playing really well. Now, obviously, you got a bit of fatigue there. And Roy Hodgson said that he took off Ayew because he's already got 4 yellow cards. He doesn't want him to miss another game. But it took a little bit of the defensive / attacking emphasis out of our game. Eze, I don't think, was fit. He really didn't look very fit. Made a couple of mistakes. Didn't really take his chance when it came to him. I don't think he was really 100% fit at all. David Ozo did really well again. I thought he played really well, but really didn't have a huge amount of impact on the game. Although he did play well, didn't really have a huge impact on the game. And in overall fact, and I know this is going to surprise a few people, I think actually the substitutions hampered us. I think we actually were worse after the substitutions than we were before, because, you know, yes, you're taking off Will Hughes, which a lot of people don't really like. Will Hughes, don't think he's good enough, and Jordan Ayew, who is a very good player and very reliable. And you think that bringing on Eze and David Ozo would add a bit more of an attacking influence to the game. It didn't really work like that. It didn't really work. I think mainly because Eze wasn't 100% fit, wasn't completely in the game. David Ozo couldn't really get into the game at that point, so I think it really hampered us a little bit, and actually probably was one of the reasons why we sort of sat back a little bit towards the end, which was a shame, because I felt that if we'd have had the second half like we had the first half, we could have gone on to maybe get a second goal, and we had chances to get a second goal in the first half, which I think we also didn't take. Mateta is him. He's Mateta. You know, he kind of strolls around, but I think by 70 minutes, I think he'd lost his legs. I think he wasn't able to run anymore after that. But the problem is we don't have a big enough squad to bring players on. Yes, you could have brought França on and things like that, but I think by that time, Roy Hodgson was kind of thinking he wanted to protect the 1-1 as it stood by that point, which is a shame. But I don't think it was necessarily anything that Roy did that caused them to get defensive. I think, you know, if you listen to the interviews from Roy and Joachim Andersen, it's more a case of, you know, the fatigue meant that we were dropping deeper and deeper into our own half and inviting them on, which is going to happen. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was a point, and it's a point more than we had before the game. I saw a stat somewhere that says that we're actually 4 points behind where we were with Patrick Vieira before he got the sack. I don't know how that. I don't know whether that makes a difference or not. I mean, I think that, you know, there is rumours that Steve Cooper is being talked to by by Crystal Palace, that, you know, he's being interviewed by them or being approached by them, and I think that's possibly the case. Whether he'll come in now or they'll wait till the end of the season, I don't know. I think there's a possibility they'll wait, because you know, we're not winning many games. We're not getting very far in terms of gaining points. I think they might give Roy to the end of the season unless anything disastrous happens. That's how I feel anyway. But let me know what you think down in the comment section, as always. What do you think of the game? What did you think about Henderson for a start? I mean, he had a fantastic game before. The game before. This game didn't look quite as good. Let me know what you think about Eze and how he played and things like that. And also let me know what you think about Roy Hodgson's long-term future. I mean, is this a point where they should be bringing in Steve Cooper sooner rather than later? or do you think they should wait till the end of the season? Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe as always. And I'll see you next time.